excited to talk about the 10 reasons Google business profiles get suspended. Some of these are gonna, look like you're gonna be like, really? But it's very, very important, and you'd be surprised of how many audits I do or reasons I see these profiles be suspended. Now, if you follow me on social media or anything like that, you probably see me post some snippets and celebrations for the agents that we've been able to get these appeals approved for them. So just because you get suspended, it's not the end of the world majority of the time. I'll put that caveat in there. Um, but there are ways to get it back, and oftentimes it's simple things that just need to be tweaked or fixed. Submit the appeal, and then you are back on the road and appearing publicly in those searches. But some of the key ones that I'll make sure to highlight. There's 10, obviously, we're going to go through today, but there's a few in here that I'm going to emphasize on. Um, that are the most common ones that come up and the easiest ones that you can avoid or fix as well. As Hi Heather, welcome. Good to see you. Um 10 of these, obviously, there's going to be a few that I'm going to highlight um for you guys to be able to avoid those pitfalls and for those suspensions to happen. And a lot of times it's super easy things or just things that we didn't realize or think that um would affect it. But I think we all know if you've ever had to deal with a Google appeal or honestly try to get support from Facebook, Instagram, Google, any of those, you know, billions and trillion dollar companies try to get in touch with them, it's very difficult. And very little support for us. But we have successfully gotten several, I'd probably say a 95% success rate on getting these appeals approved. And it's again just being strategic in the way that you're doing the appeal and all that good stuff. But the first step is just to avoid even that opportunity. But sometimes it's out of our control, even if it's legit reviews that I've seen agents receive from their clients and it's getting flagged as spam. And unfortunately, there's just not a whole lot we can do with that except, appeal and say that it's legit and provide proof in terms of screenshots from emails and stuff like that, communication from that person. We've seen success in that. So again, we're going to go through the top 10 reasons. A couple of those I'm going to highlight for you, and then I have a profile pulled up in case we need to go back in there and take a look at where where you guys can actually adjust those certain things. So let's go ahead and dive in. So the first one is going to be using a PO box or virtual address. So sometimes, um, you know, adding a physical address is not a bad thing, but you want to make sure that you at least have those service areas in there. But if you're using a PO box or a virtual address, or you have, space outside of your brokerage, meaning like you're renting a Regis space or that WeWork, or what's the other big one, industrial, anything like that. Sometimes those addresses get flagged because there's so many, they are categorized as virtual addresses. And there's so many businesses there that Google will oftentimes trigger that as not a real address. So for our industry and our purpose, I would recommend not having a physical address on there. Because the other thing is a lot of times in your brokerage ICAs or agreements, it says for you not to use the physical address on a Google business profile because it affects their Google business profile as well. So a lot of times that may come up, and the brokerage may have somebody going through and reporting, and I'm only saying that because I've seen it, going through and reporting those and requesting Google to remove those businesses from that address, remove that address from those Google business profiles, which then will trigger them to, you know, violate or for them to suspend your Google business profile. So if you are going to use a physical address, just verify with your brokerage that you can use that one, but also make sure that you are adding in those service areas, because understand that when you just have an address, you are only going to rank in that city or zip code that Google deems that's where your business is. Service areas allow you to expand, right? So if you are in Las Vegas, obviously Las Vegas will be one, Henderson, Summerlin, North Las Vegas. There's other locations. So if you want to service those or get referrals in those certain areas, definitely add those in there. But I highly recommend not adding in um, a PO box or any type of virtual address, or even honestly your brokerage address with that. Because I've seen a lot of times those suspensions are due to that. And the reason is because that address has been an issue in terms of lots of agents using it and confusing Google. And then the brokerage starts issuing those requests to Google on those. So you want to avoid that. The second one is not hiding your home address. So a lot of times agents will add in, I've seen this twice in the last week, just add their personal address on their Google business profile. So many reasons come to mind why you should not do that, right? Privacy. Maybe you don't want people to know where you actually live, or make it that easy for them. But if you're not servicing, those certain areas again, or if that's not where your actually an office is, right? We have home offices, but if it's not a registered office in Google's eyes, then it can cause a suspension or for them to flag it for using that address. So again, best practice is just do service areas. It's going to increase your search capability and your ranking, and it avoids the potential of being suspended. And understand that there's soft suspension and hard suspension. Soft suspension means that your editing capabilities have been removed, but it is still partly showing publicly. And hard suspension is it's not showing publicly at all. Your editing capabilities don't exist, and you have to submit the appeal before you can even get back into that. So a good practice, honestly, same as number one. I would avoid the address altogether unless your brokerage allows you to. I'm all about being proactive and prevention as a kind of like a doctor, as opposed to now you got your suspension, and we could have avoided that in the beginning. Troy said, so if we can't use the business physical address, what would you suggest? Service areas. So let me close out of this just because I want to try to give you guys the most value as possible. And I'm going to come into this one. This is blueprints, but the functions are the same. Under edit profile. Okay, so once you're logged in and you're looking at your actual profile, you want to click edit profile, and then you're going to go to location, scroll or click this. Obviously, we have a physical office at this location, but for you guys, I would not have the address there. So I'd click the pencil, toggle this off and save. That's the case. And then just below that, you have service areas. So this, I have United States because we train coach nationally. But if I were an agent and I'm in, I'm going to go with Phoenix, just because I know it so well. Phoenix, and then maybe, and same for Vegas guys. So if you're Summerlin, Henderson, you're going to add all those in. Maybe I also serve Scottsdale. Maybe I also serve Glendale. All those different areas. Okay, so you can virtually add as many as you want. I'd probably keep it to a dozen or less, depending on how large your vicinity is. Maricopa County here is massive, huge. But somewhere like Vegas, you may have 4 to 5, 3 to 5 service areas in there. But again, remember, if you're adding in an address, it's not and with no service areas, you're only going to rank in that section or that city and zip code that you have that in there. So this is where you would physically go in. Oops, let me come back here. You guys can still see my screen, right? Hopefully. Yes. Okay. Troy, to your point, this is where you would go in. I'm going to not save those. You'd go into edit profile, and then my suggestion would be not have the physical location there and have service areas in there. Hopefully that answers your question. Beautiful. All right. Number 3, this is a big one. Keyword stuffing your business name. What do I mean by that? I mean, like the example I put here, John Smith - Nashville's #1 real estate agent and home buyer expert. Google does not like that, especially special characters. So like the hashtag, the dash is okay. I've seen good with that. And then you see the semicolon down here for the example that I've given. But even adding in realtor in there with the little R would not recommend. Those special characters get flagged. It's almost like Facebook. You go to try to create a Facebook page, business page, and they don't allow special characters or, lots of capitals in there. It's difficult. Even Blueprint, for an example, the Facebook page, it took me weeks for them to approve it all capitalized because I'm neurotic with branding and if it's got to be lowercase, that's not how the branding is, right? So I had to prove all that with that. But with Google, your Google business profile, you want to avoid special characters, lengthy, and again, just stuffing it with the business name. So essentially, it needs to match, obviously, your legal name that you can go by through your Department of Real Estate. And you want to avoid adding, even keywords of zip codes. Now, city names, I've seen less about that. It's more numeral type characters and special characters that are in there. But this is exactly from Google's terms and best practices, this last bullet here, of how they want practitioners to be listed. So they consider real estate agents, let me come back over here, I think I had it open. They consider us as solo practitioners. So if practitioner is the only public-facing practitioner at a location represents a branded organization, it's best for the practitioner to share a business profile with the organization. But to create your own, and even Amy, this would be great. And Heather, like if you guys wanted your own for even title, right, for yourself, this is how Google would prefer it to be. Okay, I'm not saying that this is exactly how it has to be, but this is part of their terms. Obviously, I've done hundreds of Google business profiles, and there are some that are slightly different than this, and they haven't been suspended or anything. But again, you want to avoid, the biggest thing are those special characters. So again, if you're going to put realtor in there with that R, you're setting yourself up for a suspension. Hashtag, the pound sign, all that kind of stuff. So essentially, like brand company, or if you want your name to be first, we've done that too and have seen that not be suspended at all. So, for example, ABC Brokerage and then your name, or your name ABC Brokerage, or your name at brokerage name in there. Okay. So you don't want to get super creative. Again, coming back to this, to where you've got, your number one in that market or your specialty or whatever it is, save that information for the business description. Okay. Or save that information for some of those posts in your website and things like that. Again, location wise, we've done city names before, but your best practice is to leave it out of the name itself and include it in these service areas of wherever that you're servicing them. So again, this is the example that Google gives us and that we try to follow as well. Different variations can still work. The biggest thing is avoiding those special characters or just stuffing it with extra things in there. Google is smart. You can have the information in terms of geographic location, who you help, all that good stuff in your business description. They are smart enough to know that it's there. You don't have to put it in the name. So again, one of the biggest things that we see is removing the R from the word realtor, the registered trademark symbol, any hashtags or anything like that, and getting it suspended. So anytime that we've had to submit an appeal for the name, because everything else looks good, and it's like, okay, the business name looks like that's the one thing that, is going to be the issue, gets approved almost instantly when we swap that out. So don't overstuff that business name. Keep it, very straightforward. Who your brokerage is, company you work with, and your name that you go by in your business. Again, leave off tag names, taglines, and slogans, and all that kind of stuff.
Justin,
Yes.
I currently have mine suspended because I think I added my Washington office name and Arizona, Washington name.
That's I would bet money that is the reason. Yeah.
And so I cannot figure out how to get it out of being suspended.
So, and we're going to talk about multiple profiles. When you cross state lines, you need two separate profiles.
So you
It's
can have two.
yes, you absolutely can have, you can have multiple.
Okay.
I would not have multiple in the same state. Okay.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, different states have different requirements when it comes to real estate as well. Like Vegas, for example, their license number has to literally be on everything. Arizona's Wild Wild West, man. We don't even have to, nobody even knows our license number in there. Nashville or Tennessee, there has to be on a lot of their stuff as well. North Carolina, very lenient, it seems. So different markets are, you know, require different things, but highly recommend that if you are licensed in more than one state, that you have a different profile for each state. Okay. And the way you do that is whatever is most prominent, meaning, you know, if your reviews are prominently Arizona or I'm sorry, you said Arizona and Washington?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you know, if a lot of your reviews are Arizona, then I would just change the one that you have right now to focus Arizona and then create another one. You can create it in the same account too. I'll show you where to do that. So real quick, since we're on topic, might help others that are multi-licensed.
Are you located here in Washington?
I'm not, I'm in Arizona.
I mean, I'm in Arizona. I'm here in Arizona.
And based in Arizona, yes.
So
Yeah, yeah.
you're at
In
the
Phoenix area.
okay, got
Yeah.
it.
So when you're in your profile, if you click the three dots here, you can click add a new business profile and it will add it under the same Google account that you have. It's just now you're going to have, I think this one's not our admin. Yeah. So then you're going to have multiple listed here.
I
Okay.
can't even get to that because I'm not visible.
Yep. So what your, well, you should be able to see to edit. Do you see this at all when you're logged in?
Nope.
Okay, so we might have to jump on a call because even if it's suspended, you
I
should
would
be
like
able to
that.
go in and edit. And the first step is going to be to go in and edit the name, change everything to one market first, and then I would go and submit the appeal because they are gonna want that to be updated and changed before they get that approved. And then once that's approved, then I would go through and click those three dots and then add the additional one. But Donna, we can work together on getting that.
That's great. Yeah, I don't want to take up the time here, but I will reach
A
out to you.
good question though, because it comes up often. And you know, and I get the reasoning behind having one profile, right? It's like the 15,000 different social media platforms and online presence platforms that we have to be on. It's overwhelming. And so if we want to consolidate, you know, we can. But when it comes to Google business profiles, I would not have one profile for multi-state. I'd have one for each state. Good stuff. And there it is. You took number 4 from me. So again, you just want to make sure that you know, if it's going to be multiple states, you want to have separate ones. You don't need multiple for, you know, you need one for Phoenix, Glendale, Chandler. Like you don't want to do that unless there's physical locations, right? If like a brokerage, for instance, ABC Brokerage may have an office in Scottsdale, and it's like Starbucks. You know, you have Starbucks on or McDonald's on every corner. They're going to have different profiles for those physical locations. We're a service business. Yes, we hang our license with the brokerage, but you know, the times that a client's going to walk in there and say, "I want to work with you," is like very slim. It's you're probably going to get struck by lightning first. No, it's very, very small. So you want to make sure that you're leveraging those service areas in that same vicinity or market. You don't want to have multiple in that same state for that. So thank you for bringing that up, Donna.
You're welcome.
Another one is choosing the wrong category. We just had this last week with an agent and they chose real estate agency as their category, and that they're not an agency. We're not an agency, right? Unless you own your own brokerage and you're displaying it that way. Real estate agent is the most and should be the number one category that we all use. The majority do, but there are some agents that feel like they want to stand out or that that's going to help them by adding in, you know, anything that has the word real estate in it, they're going to add in, and that's incorrect. That you should not do that because that is a sure way to uh, get suspended for that. Now, real estate agent should be number one. You can choose multiple categories. So maybe real estate consultant, you could do that. But at the end of the day, real estate agent is going to be sufficient. You don't necessarily need multiple categories. So again, if I come over here and I click on edit profile and I go to, obviously this is different, but you guys choose real estate. You're going to want to choose real estate agent. Okay. You're not an agency. A consultant was in here somewhere. If you wanted to, you could, um, add that in there. Again, real estate agent is more than sufficient. Google is smart. They know how to work that category in there. Google's number one priority is to deliver accurate and relevant search results to consumers or to people doing searches. So they want to make sure that it's as accurate as possible. And if they're confused or using different categories, they're not going to rank you or show you in those. So you want to choose real estate agent. If you wanted to choose another one, you absolutely can. I would probably just do consultant because honestly, there's nothing else in here that I would see that would be relevant unless you are a school, unless you do have your own brokerage in there. So again, you want to make sure that that category is accurate and that the real estate agent is the first one. You can have a primary category and then you can have secondary categories. I don't recommend second in this industry or in our professionalism because it's not going to help you in any way. It doesn't. I haven't seen a boost with the additional categories in terms for real estate agent. So real estate agent should be your number one. Come back here. Making too many changes too quickly. Okay, this is one that's been popping up in the last 12 months or so. Not as often, but it's definitely come up. So a lot of times when we go in and we attend a class like this or any other classes and we're making all these updates and changes, sometimes that may trigger Google's automated reviews to audit your profile and figure out if it's spam or not, or bots or anything like that. So again, if you're setting up for the first time or you're going in and doing an audit and changing things, just know that certain things may trigger, those reviews. One of the biggest things is obviously, updating name, hours, and phone, or even photos, I've seen less of an issue with. It's when you're updating the name in addition to all of those other things. So I would almost spread that part out. Okay, so if you need to update your name, I would probably do that. And then a day or two later, do the others, just as a precaution. Not that every time you're going to do that, it's going to trigger a review or a suspension, but Google has become very finicky in the way that they are doing these automated reviews for your profile. So again, if you're going to make changes or audit it or edit or anything like that, I would definitely make sure to do the name separately in a separate occurrence than all the other items like your name or your hours, phone, and photos. Those don't really. I haven't seen those really do it. It's really the name in addition to those other pieces in there. So you just want to do it gradually, right? And sometimes the changes that we make will trigger a a review process to where you have to now verify your profile again. Some of you may have already experienced that. So if you change your name or you change, you're adding 30 of your listing photos or, you're updating your hours or something like that, and then it triggers an automatic, verification for you again, a lot of times a video that, it may do that just because you're updating all that information. So again, I would separate the name and the others and just try to do those on different occasions, leave a day or two between them, especially if you're updating the name and it's drastically different. So that's one of the big pieces. So if it's, you're using a bunch of fluff words and it's long or something, and now you're going to go back and condense it, or the opposite is really the bigger piece. You just want to make sure that, it's aligns with Google's, um, terms, what we just talked about in terms of the name, and obviously spreading that out a little bit there. Number 7 really goes hand in hand with your online presence audits, guys. So if you're not doing your online presence audits, once a quarter, highly recommend that you do at least once a quarter. Um, because a lot of things change. We change brokerages, or maybe we have a different phone number, or maybe we changed our marketing name, or whatever it may be. But understand that your NAP, your name, address, and phone, goes very, very deep with Google, because this is one of the biggest pieces on how they can verify if you're a legit business or not and rank you higher. Meaning that if your Facebook profile, your Zillow, your Realtor.com, your website, all those different spots on the internet have different information, and or inaccurate addresses or phone or anything like that, then you want to make sure that that's consistent, because those inconsistencies confuse Google. They go through when someone does a search, and they will comb through everything on the internet, in the digital space, and try to match up. Oh, this address is the same as this address, and it matches this name, and this phone number is consistent. So we're going to elevate and rank this profile higher because we know that it's a legit business based on these data points. So when those connections can happen, and it can verify those consistencies, that is gold for you in terms of it's going to allow you to rank higher. Now, obviously, we just got done talking about leaving the address off of your Google business profile. However, on your Zillow, Realtor.com, your website, and things like that, those addresses should definitely be consistent, because that information, in addition to your phone number, your website address, your business description and bio, all are consistent match up, is going to allow you to rank higher, and again, be more consistent with your NAP, which Google pays a lot of attention to. So again, you want to avoid those inconsistencies or any outdated info. That's why those audits are so important, guys, because even adding additional photos, and maybe you had a new headshot, or you needed to update your banner image, or again, you got married, your name changed, or you got a new phone number. Maybe you're using a call tracking phone number because you want to see how many calls you're getting from your Google business profile. Don't recommend that, because again, it's going to confuse Google. I've told the story before. When I first got into real estate and I was part of a team here in Arizona, we had phone numbers for every source. Oh my gosh. My job as a sales manager trying to track all that stuff was just awesome. Because we had so many, we're like, where is this call coming in, whatever it is. But we started to realize and understand, as we dove deeper into it, that the doing that was hurting us in our ranking, because it wasn't consistent. It confused Google. They had no idea which phone number was legit, because we literally had a phone number for Facebook, Instagram, all these different areas, so that we could track those. So I would avoid that, and I would just use your legitimate phone number that you go by on that. All right, I see a couple questions here. I'm gonna pause. And Heidi, yes, it is recorded. It will be on both the YouTube channels for EOG and Rock. So you can go to YouTube and take a look at those. Evelyn said, hi, I had a question why my business page is still saying not publicly visible. This is my second time, and I redid it again, but it still says verification not successful to give another recording. Is it because I had a physical address today? I removed it in the same status.
Yeah, hi, it's
Hi.
Evelyn. I'm a real estate agent here in San Diego, California. So I created my business Google page, and the first one I had with a different brokerage, it was fine, and then I had to create it for the next one with ROG, right? And so when I was going through the process, it was giving me kind of like a delay, saying like it's still being processed, and then it was suspended, and I had no idea why. So then what I did, I don't know if it was right or not. I'm sorry, my son's in the background.
You're
So
good.
what I did So what I did was I went ahead and deleted that and created a new one. So that's what I meant when I said I redid it, right? Um, and so it says that I need to do a re-recording, and I was assuming it was because of the location. I haven't had a chance to go into the office because I know you have to do it when there's no one around, so it doesn't like pick up any faces, and you need to have the street addresses and all that stuff. But today you were saying that I don't need to put a location in there. And so as of like 10 minutes ago, I went ahead and removed it, but it's still showing the same. I mean, I just don't know how to unsuspend or get re-verified. And then also, there's this thing in the background where I just got separated and divorced. So I don't know if that was another reason. I don't know. I'm just a big mess here. So sorry.
Don't be sorry, you're good. These are all great questions, so thank you for bringing them up. So you moved brokerages and you created a new one, is what I'm hearing for initially.
Yeah, and that one worked fine, but it was suspended because it never went through the whole verification process
Yeah.
for whatever
So,
reason.
yeah, so if it doesn't get fully verified, it will be deleted at some point from Google because it's just, sitting there. But the reason, in case put this in there too right now, that's not being publicly visible because you have to do a verification, right? And a lot of times now it's going to be the video. So what I would recommend anytime you guys have, first of all, keep it 30 seconds or less, like short. And in the video where we have found the most success in getting that is showing your license. So here in Arizona, we go to our Department of Real Estate and I can search the person's name, pull up their license certificate, and I'm doing that in the video, showing them. We have found that has been a huge, that works beautifully with that. Obviously being at the physical location, but anytime you change that physical location, even if you end up removing it, but a verification trigger was already issued, just removing the address isn't going to take away the verification. You're still gonna have to do it. You're still gonna have to do that. So my recommendation for everyone, first of all, if you do change brokerages, obviously Evelyn, yours was slightly different because that one wasn't verified. But if you guys change brokerages, don't create a new Google business profile. Just change your name and information in that. That is acceptable. Because again, in our profession, as a practitioner in Google's eyes, that does happen. Just like you guys saw, attorneys move to different law offices. Or the example that they showed was like Allstate for insurance, right? People move companies and things like that. So I would just recommend updating your name. But if it wasn't verified in the beginning, Evelyn, or they didn't fully verify it, then it will get deleted at some point. For the new one, again, I wrote your name down because I think we can work together offline and help you get that back up and going. But for the verification, I would do the video, but show your license, show your business card, because we have found that has been, worked beautifully. It pretty much, well, all the times that we've done that, the appeals have been approved.
Okay, so you're saying like go on my laptop and just like look at my DRE number on the official website and then go outside and do the whole video again?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it to where I'm even sitting like in front of my laptop with this up, like it's facing me first. Like, hey, I'm Justin Taylor. I'm a real estate agent at ABC Brokerage. This is my office. Flip the camera around. Here's my real estate license showing that I'm licensed with ABC Brokerage in the state of California. And then bam, done.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll try that. Thank you.
15 to 30 seconds, not over 30 seconds.
Okay. Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Of course. And the reason why doing that is because, a lot of these sometimes are manually reviewed, but Google has automation set in place that, technology is going through and listening and reviewing and all that kind of stuff like AI to do it. So, but a lot of times when we do it that structure, you get it instantly verified.
Do you think I can connect with you offline if it doesn't go through? I have a lot of closings and I want reviews for it, of course. So
Absolutely.
that's why I saw
Yeah.
this class and I was like, I got to jump on it.
Yep. Yeah.
What is your contact number?
Let me put my email in the chat for you guys so you have that. There you go. You guys can save that and just shoot me an email. Just put in the headline like GBP or something or the subject line. And I'll be able to make sure to reach out to you. Let's see. Probably same for UK. There's something that wasn't fully verified that's causing that to say. So again, if it's not publicly visible, that means it's missing information or you haven't fully verified it yet. So we just got to go in and see what that looks like for that. Good questions, guys. See, we're not alone. We're all in the same Google issue boat together. All right, review activity. This is a crazy one, but man, this happens so many times. Or reviews not showing up, right? I have, an agent specifically that was Havasu. She was killing it. We did her Google business profile and getting reviews and all that good stuff. And Google flagged it as, suspicious or spammy. Some of the reviews. It showed, or in some instances, it showed the reviews, but didn't change the count number. So she had like 37 reviews, but it was showing 25 as the number, right? The reviews are there, thankfully, but people want to see the number too. So we just had to submit a ticket to Google to get that updated. But oftentimes, if we're going in and getting new reviews for our Google business profiles, or Google thinks that they look suspicious. This is honestly the truth. The review looks too good to be true. It's a legit review, but it looks too good to be true. They will flag it and it won't get posted. So again, ways that we have overcome that when we submit the appeal or submit the ticket to Google is take a screenshot or show some type of communication that you've had with that person, your client, and say, hi, this review is not showing. This was my legit client. I helped them buy or sell in whatever market is. Here's a screenshot of email correspondence or something with that. That helps tremendously with that. Again, just showing proof. Once you do that initially, we have found that it will not get flagged again. Now, I'm not saying 100% will not get flagged, but we have found that, once, again, Google understands that, and I don't know where they notate that or whatever, but, it doesn't look like it is a continuous thing happening. So you just got to put a stop to it in the beginning. But a lot of times, if it's, again, sounds too good to be true, not that you shouldn't have your clients be authentic, right? Don't avoid that. You just want to, the biggest thing is, too many reviews in a short amount of time. So if you're getting, 5 to 10 reviews a day, honestly, even 10 reviews a week, that could look suspicious depending on volume of business. Again, Google knows how many transactions the average agent does. They're very smart. We have AI and all that different technology. So if all of a sudden you have 50 reviews in a week or 2 weeks or a month, that could look spammy to them. Now, if you do get reviews that are negative or irrelevant to your business, there are ways that you can get that removed. It's not guaranteed. It's not 100%. It's a low percent, but it can happen. For instance, there's an agent here in the West Valley that has been going back and forth. She had a neighbor that ended up going on her profile because she had family over, legitimately. She had family over to her house and they were doing chalk on her driveway, the agent's driveway, her own property. And the neighbor knew she was an agent, ended up selling and listing her house later on and moving out of the neighborhood, but went on to that agent's profile and left her a review stating that she's inconsiderate to the neighborhood, all this other stuff, blah, 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 and tried to get it removed, did not do it. And so then we finally submitted, she reached out to us and, we're trying to get creative and stuff. So we submitted it as irrelevant and bullying and they removed it. So, and obviously she'd have to create a different profile to go and leave it again, but she moved out of the neighborhood and was fine there. But again, she tried years to try to get that removed. You just got to get creative with some of these things and think outside the box. But again, if a legit negative review, and oftentimes we know it's the client, not saying that all agents are perfect, but oftentimes, it's just a situation the client didn't like it. And, I would still respond to those negative reviews on there. But, if they look fake, or suspicious or anything like that, Google's automatic review system may flag that as spammy and do that. The other thing is, asking for those reviews and it's on the same IP address and location. So a lot of times we've done trainings where, it's a workshop and okay, everyone, leave each other a review. And you guys are all on the same IP address or network. And now that looks suspicious. Google's like, man, we're getting all these Google reviews coming in from this one central location with all these profiles. It must be a bot. Must be a bot. So you want to avoid that. Obviously, if you're asking your clients, they're at their house, it's different IP and all that kind of stuff. Just keep that in mind when you're asking for reviews from vendor partners, title, escrow, lenders, anything like that. Just tell them maybe do it outside of the building or on a different Wi-Fi on there, because that can happen over time. Also, Google's in their terms and conditions, it is against their terms, not that they would necessarily know this, but for you to incentivize for reviews. So again, going back to workshops, if you're offering them a $5 Starbucks gift card for their time to leave that review. Again, I don't know what the checks and balances are necessarily with how Google would even know that. But just know, it's just a piece of information for you guys, that it is in their terms, against their terms, to offer incentives for reviews. Because oftentimes when you incentivize somebody, what are they going to do? Be above and beyond nice and give you flying colors, even though you're all amazing. But a lot of times, right, it changes psychology and folks will leave oftentimes an even better glowing review if that's the case. So just a piece of information, it is against their terms to incentivize people for those reviews. Again, the reviews are supposed to help consumers be non-biased in making those decisions. So just be careful of that. Number 9 is the big one, violating Google content policies. What do I mean by that? I mean images, media, written content, blog style content in there that's irrelevant or poor quality. Of course, you don't want to use images that you don't have permission to use. That's not copyrighted. If you need stock images, go to those free stock sites that we've shared before and pull some of those. But best practice is your listing photos in there. The smaller the image size, not meaning size, right? Meaning file size matters as well. So if you've tried to upload photos and they keep getting rejected, it's because the quality of the photo, the file size of that photo and whatnot. A lot of times we have found that uploading, going into Canva and adding, creating a design that's 1080 by 1080, there's your standard, it's now the older size for Instagram, but your 1080 by 1080 square, and throwing in your images into that size we have found to be the most approved in trying to upload those pieces of media. Doesn't have to be, but oftentimes you may upload some images and they're high resolution, very big files, and Google's going to reject them. So you've got to get it under like 2 megabytes, for it to upload. Again, not all the time, but the majority of the time, the smaller the file size, the better. You just want to make sure that the file size isn't so small that it's now getting distorted and it's bad imagery, because that also goes against Google's terms and what they approve for media. You can upload videos, shorter the better. Shorter the better. So if you're creating shorts or anything like that, add those videos to your business profiles. The other thing is changing those file names. That not only helps your SEO, but it helps make the image or piece look more legit in Google's eyes, because they're reading the file name and it's like, oh, this is, let's say Donna's, the real estate agent, and you're putting, Donna's, whatever it is, right? Your brand name, all that kind of stuff in there. So change the file names. I would highly recommend that. Make sure you have permission and it's not copyrighted media that you are uploading with those. File size is big on that one, okay? No pun intended. You want to make sure it's not big. You want to make sure that it's as small as possible without getting it distorted. if that makes sense. If you're uploading photos of yourself, right, headshots and things like that, make sure it's a high quality headshot. You want to keep it, you know, to where it's not blurry, but you want to make sure that they're high quality for that. In terms of content, when you're posting on your Google business profile, do not add links, phone numbers, contact information in your business description or posts that you're doing or any of the products that you're adding in there. Leverage the call to actions. What I mean by that is when you're going in and let's say this is a post, right? In this part of the post, you don't want to add in phone numbers or links or anything like that. That is nearly guaranteed a suspension. Okay, because that's not where they want the links and contact info. That's why they give us these call to action buttons. That's where you're going to enter that in. One of the biggest, probably in the top 3 when agents come to us and their profile has been suspended is in that business description section. They're adding in contact me today, their phone number, email, website address, whatever that is. That's why we have these buttons up here. Okay. So you want to make sure that you're adding them there and avoiding adding them in the business descriptions or any type of the copy that you guys are adding in. I don't have products on this one, but you know, agents that do have products, highly encourage that you do have products on your Google business profile, meaning homes for sale in Phoenix as a product, and it's linking to my website under the Phoenix IDX feed. Homes for sale in Chandler, going there, gives a little blurb about each of those areas, or homes with the pool in whatever market. Those are good products that you should be adding in. It helps your ranking in SEO. But you want to make sure that any of the copy that you guys are adding in these sections, that copy and text, you're not putting in contact information or links. Okay. It's another big one that comes back as a suspension. I'm going to present this. He said, I just checking this real quick. Heidi, I had trouble with the seem to be 2 different names on my page. I had a bunch of reviews and lost them. Any way to get them back? It depends, Heidi. Do you still see your profile when you log into that Google account? Do you still see the profile there, or is it completely gone out of your account? Meaning when I come here and I'm logged in, whether it's this page, do you still see it here? If the answer is no, and this is the account you created it on, 99.9%, it's gone. So you may have to create a new one on there. If it does show it there, but it shows suspended, deleted, anything there may be a chance. There may be a
Okay.
chance to be able to go in and do it.
Can you go back through that motion again? You went really quick. Where would I find this?
So when you're logged into the Google account that you created the profiles with, when you log in, or you're logged into your Gmail or whatever it may be, and you click this Rubik's Cube or the Google apps,
Correct.
you should see Google Business Profile Manager.
Got it.
When you click on that, it's going to pull up. You guys will probably only see one, but you should see it here, if that's the account that you created it with.
Okay. Well, I have one that just says Heidi Miller. So I used to be Heidi Miller. Gosh, I don't even remember if I put designations. Maybe they didn't like that. Or maybe I said realtor or real estate agent. And then I incorporated. So then I was like, oh, I'm going to change it to LLC or somewhere along the line. It got messed up and they literally deleted my page. And I actually was emailing them. I found a way to email people, but of course they're not very helpful. But they basically said, too bad, so sad, your reviews are gone. So now I have 0 reviews and I gave up like that other lady did. I was just like, this is a bunch of BS. And I just, it was just crazy.
It's it's extremely frustrating, especially when
Very.
you're little to 0 help. So they most likely, they probably suspended it and asked for verification, or they just straight up and it never got verified or fixed, and they just straight up delete it, or they just delete it with no reason. And now there's an example too.
Wait, can I ask you one more question? Does
Yes.
that, when you say they deleted it, does that mean it's nowhere on there? I don't even know why I'm asking this because it's pointless, but like it's gone forever, or do they probably have it laying around in cyberspace somewhere and they just, you know?
I don't know the exact, how much they back up these profiles and keep them. I'm sure they have it, and for 2 weeks or something, but imagine their servers and how much data they store. So they probably, after a period of time, it most likely gets permanently deleted, in there. So if you don't see it in there, as an option, then it's most likely gone. So we'd have to go in
Okay.
and set up the new one.
All right, thank you.
Of course. Yeah, it's extremely frustrating, guys, and that's why, we focus a lot on these and try to offer as much support as we can, because it's very difficult to communicate with them and truly understand, right? Even what their um terms are and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's pages and pages of just like language that
Exactly. I couldn't even
yeah.
understand what they were trying to tell. I was just trying to get a simple answer like, why did this happen? And they would just send me this stock answer or the same answer over and over. I do think it was someone typing it. It wasn't, Faye or like pre-done, but they just wouldn't answer my question. It was just so frustrating.
Yeah, and
Thanks.
they send you to an article like, here's a solution. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm on a merry-go-round and I'm about to throw up.
Yes.
It's like, no, please get me off of this ride. Yeah, so we can, Heidi, again, we could work together on, helping you get that set up correctly, and
That would be great. Thank you.
questions or anything like that. Happy to help with. Kay said, I moved from North California broad to San Diego. I had a functioning Google in North Cal. When I moved to SoCal and tried to create the page, I have been spent. I gave up and done a side video invite. So, Kay, did you keep the one that you had in North, or you're gonna same state, so obviously it's very far in distance, but I'd probably still keep the one. Did you delete the other one? Didn't keep. Got it. Yeah, guys, if you're going to be in the same state or you're moving, different location, something, I would probably keep it. But again, Kay, we can work on getting that one in San Diego, up and running and situated for sure. All right, let me come here real quick. We can finish this pot up. Good questions, guys. All right, well, we talked about this one. This was number 10. And honestly, probably outside of the naming convention, one of the biggest ones that we see come up and get flagged is adding those links and phone numbers in there. You want to leverage those links and contact info on those call to action buttons that they give us. So, when you go in to fill out your website and your phone number to call or whatever it may be, you want to save it for them and not in your actual descriptions. I understand the reasoning why you're adding it in there. But again, Google has this profile set up in a way that they know if your phone number or website address is, in one of those CTAs or call to actions, they're going to be able to leverage that when people are doing searches, all that kind of stuff. We don't have to, that's not the type of copy or keywords that you want to keep using over and over again. Now, in your business description, you do want to keep using like keywords of locations, right? What are all the areas that you serve? Who do you help? First-time home buyers, veteran, home sellers, investors. What types of properties do you sell? Single-family homes, condos, homes on a golf course, luxury. Those are the types of keywords and things that you want to talk about in your descriptions and in your bios, especially on Google, for those. So you want to leave those there, and you want to leave the contact information and buttons and all that kind of stuff for the certain spots and locations that Google actually gives us for those. Heather said, hi, Blueprint offer. Yes. So thank you, Heather, for bringing that up. So we absolutely help agents all the time. One, set up their Google business profile and fully build it out and optimize it for them, meaning we take care of everything from start to finish. You don't completely hands off. So your naming convention, tons of photos from your past listings. If you don't have past listings, we have royalty-free photos that we use to leverage and or to use for you in your specific market. Your optimized business description, all your contact info, your social media profiles, products. We build out all the different products for your specific area. We create posts for you, all that kind of stuff. So if you want that, the cost for that is $397, and it's done for you. Completely done, hands off. Now for the suspensions and stuff, typically we've charged like $99, and if we can't get it back, if it's out of our control, meaning that like we had an agent in Tucson, she's done an appeal twice, and she's violated the same thing twice. And Google at that point is you're done, you're cut off. So we had to go in and create a whole different profile for her. But yeah, if you guys have any issues, we've been very successful in getting those suspensions appeals approved, and then obviously optimizing all those for the agent. So just let us know. Evelyn said in slide 3, right now I have listed on there, Evelyn said it was realtor, is that, yeah, probably okay with that one if you don't have the registered trademark in there. I would almost remove realtor because they know you're a real estate agent. Again, Google's smart enough to know based on that category. That's why that category is important in there. I would probably do Evelyn Santos, comma or dash San Diego, or Evelyn Santos at ABC Brokerage, just so you can add in that piece. Because remember, that's the naming convention that is in Google's terms, at ABC Brokerage in San Diego, if you wanted to add geographic location in there. Again, those service area guys are the reason why you would rank in San Diego. So I would, you know, in a perfect world, I would do Evelyn Santos dash or at ABC Brokerage. And then making sure that San Diego, but not just San Diego, you can probably pull up other areas that are in San Diego. And I know we're getting towards the end here, but I just want to, visuals are good. I'm very visual, so I want to make sure I show you guys these. So if I go down to location, those service areas, and what's a community that's within San Diego? I'm trying to remember. Even God, it's been too long since I've been there. San Diego, you've got even like Coronado, right? Coronado, which is probably its own thing, right? You can even add that in there. Obviously, San Diego will be a big one. I'd probably add San Diego.
Oceanside,
Oceanside, thank you. That's literally what I was talking about.
Carlsbad.
Carlsbad. So I would add all those service areas in there as well, not just San Diego. Because think about the search intent. If somebody goes and says homes for sale in San Diego on Google, what about if they're looking in Oceanside? Homes for sale in Oceanside. You want to make sure that you're ranking for those. So that's what I mean, that if you're in a big metropolitan area, what are all those other smaller areas and communities that you can put in there? Like for instance, in North Scottsdale, we have a community called Greyhawk. It's not a city, but Google is pulling it up as under Scottsdale. So a lot of times subdivisions or those local communities are part of this area as well. Google wants to be as local as possible. So I would definitely recommend adding in those, all of those service areas in there. In addition to, right, you have the major metropolitan name, but then what are the sub areas that are under there? And I'm not saying they're all going to show up in Google, but a lot of them do, which would be a great benefit as well. All right, last thing here, just a couple of tips that we've pretty much went over and just want to recap, right? So your service address or service areas, you want to make sure that I would encourage to not have a physical address. I would encourage to have service areas. Again, I'm all about prevention. So we can prevent your business from not showing on Google, the #1 search engine in the world. I would avoid putting in that address in there and adding in those service areas. Don't ever put your physical home address in there, okay? They're not zoned as commercial in that office space, all that kind of stuff, and can and most likely will get flagged. Avoid using those special characters or fluffing up that name with additional things, right? That registered trademark symbol, numbers in there, you know, or again, symbols saying a #1 agent and whatever it is, right? Everyone's a #1 agent if you just pick what data you want to showcase that on. But you want to avoid any of those special characters. Be careful with those reviews. Reviews are super important. The other thing is make sure you're responding to those reviews. Google thinks they're more legit. Okay, so if you get a review and you're responding to it, they think it's more legit. But be careful with getting too many reviews in such a short amount of time. That will and can flag it as like a bot or something like that. So do those gradually. And another big one is avoid adding those links or contact information in those descriptions. Okay, leave that for the call to action buttons in that profile. And the last piece, and we've talked about this, is how to appeal a suspension. Well, if it's suspended, you're going to see it say suspended on. And let me switch this so I can show you guys real quickly. I think it's under admin. Okay. So for instance, like this was a Tucson one, so suspended verification, we're still waiting on that. Or, one of these are suspended. When it says that and you click into your profile, right, it's going to say it's not showing publicly and it's going to be very limited because you have to go in and do that. But what you need to do first is analyze your profile to first try to understand why it was suspended. So, because profile doesn't follow guidelines, right? That's so helpful. So helpful. It doesn't follow guidelines. So you have to dive in a little bit deeper, but that's why having a partner like Blueprint or me to try to go through and who has done so many of these now, be able to pinpoint what it is. I know exactly why hers was. She got hacked, her Facebook got hacked, and her email got hacked, and that triggered in her entire Google account a spam verification, which then also a Google Business Profile is part of that product. And so it suspended this as well. So we're fixing stuff on the back end for that first. But a lot of times you click learn more, it's going to tell you, certain things why. But when you click that and you scroll down, there's a Google Business Profile appeals tool. That's where you can go in, you can upload information. And again, like a video or a photo of your license or anything like that. That's where you can go and do that appeal there. So that's what you want to do, go in, but you want to take a look at your profile and see, just double check, like based on what I've learned, what could it be? Is it something in my business description? Is it, the name? Is it whatever it may be? You want to double check all that first and then edit. They do allow you to edit in most instances, the basic information that would cause that suspension. So again, you just want to review, look how many service areas she has. Obviously, Nashville area is massive. So there's a lot of different areas that she would service those. So she's going to rank in all of those areas. But again, you just want to go through and make sure, audit everything first. If you're confused, you're like, yeah, I don't see why I still got suspended. You can always reach out. Happy to go in and take a look at it for you and offer some suggestions. But that's where you would go. You can click edit profile or click learn more, and it will pull up the suspended or disabled profiles page. You scroll down, you see the appeals tool, and this is what you can go through to work out. It's going to ask you, is this the account that the profile is tied to? We have manager access, so the answer is going to be yes. It's going to ask us to choose. You're not going to have this many. These are just ones that we have in the works. So you're just going to go through and choose which one it is, and then it'll tell you, where you can upload and all that kind of stuff for that profile. Again, some of the biggest ones: naming convention, contact information and descriptions, bunch of changes at one time, and that category is going to be super important. Do not put real estate agency. Okay, that is a sure win for an appeal at some point, sooner than later. So any other questions, guys? Hopefully you got some tidbits and tips out of today when you go in and either try to appeal, or if yours ever gets suspended, or again, back to prevention, maybe you need to go in and double check yours today, guys, and audit it and make sure that you're avoiding things that may trigger Google to suspend it or a verification for that. So any other questions, guys?
No, Justin, I'm out, but thank you. And I did email you.
Perfect.
Thank
Yep, I will follow up with you, Troy. I'll follow up with you too. So I'll take my emails after this. This is recorded, so I'll get this over to both Rock Title and Escrow Options Group to get uploaded to their YouTube channels. You can always go there and rewatch for future reference. But I appreciate you guys so much. Happy Tuesday, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your week. We'll see you guys soon.